Guys, how's it going? Ghostly Rich here today, and today we're going to be installing a Mighty Mouse catch can in the C7 Corvette project. First thing we need to do is we're going to have to do some replumbing from what I had done earlier. So, let's show you what I'm going to do. As you guys can see, what we have right here is a pipe that I have hooked up to the back of my Holley EFI intake. If you have the stock intake or another intake, it would be coming out right here, and then you might have one coming off of your plate right here, your valley cover plate. With me, because I'm using a billet ICT one, it does not have the vent that comes off of that plate anymore. So what I'm going to be doing is using the vent off of this valve cover. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be running this valve cover to both the dry sump tank line that comes right here and right here. If you have dry sump, we need to have something that feeds, that goes to the dry sump tank. If you don't, then you don't have to worry about this. So first thing I'm going to be plumbing, and I'll show you this, is this line that goes from right here that I've currently just going to this valve cover. Well, I'm going to be deleting this one, or sorry, not that one, but the one over back here. So that way it goes to this inlet on the dry sump tank and this one off one valve cover. The last one, from which you see is cut right now, is from the intake manifold, which was a mess up. Don't do that. What I'm going to be doing is running this one to a fresh air on the intake. Back when I put this together, I was being a little silly and I ran off the intake manifold, created a vacuum, and by doing so, could have ended badly if we didn't see the difference on the dyno, which is what we did. We instantly noticed an increase in manifold pressure, or well, I should say crankcase pressure, which said no go. That's why we put this vent on here. Anyways, this will be being removed and I'll be replumbing this. I'm not going to show you me running this line. I'm simply going to be running a line from right here to my intake coupler, and that is, you're already going to have that done. Alright, so for running stuff like this, as you can see, I've upgraded my valve covers. If you have factory valve covers, you'll have these little connections there that are 1/2 inch. Now what you'll need to do, and what I would do, is upgrade it to twist lock at the bare minimum. You could upgrade it to full in compression and line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a video part right here where I show how to make both kinds. You'll see that twist lock is much easier. Why do I say that? Well, twist lock is simply this. You simply, after we have this fitting, you get your 6-hand twist lock and you simply press it in and you squeeze it in as hard as you can. You keep wiggling until it's in all the way seated, and bam, you're done. And you can get it in simple hose like this, which is glossy, or you can get it in matte twisted like this. It's really nice stuff. As you can see, I've done braided and line, but it all depends on what you want. As you can see, look at that next to it. That is the twist lock, and this is the and line. Both look mint, and it's matte and matches all the matte finish here. So if you want to make this quick and easy and use the existing fittings you already have in your vehicle, go ahead, and we'll get rid of all that hard line tubing. You would just simply grab this. You'll have that 1/2 inch twist lock fitting right here. You'd make a small slit on that hard line and crack it off. When you find underneath is this, which you can reuse these fittings. It's perfect. The one thing you will need is a Y fitting. Let me show you where. As you can see here, I have an on the run T. What that means is it's got a female and male on one side and then another male. This will allow for me to put this connection, which is a angle, onto here to bring to this other barb. I'll need that so that way I can connect it. You could also do this with a Y if you're doing just twist lock and you want to save on some fittings. Personally, I think this looks cleaner. I'll leave it up to you. I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's all tied in. Basically, all I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen these two fittings, and then this goes in between the two. That'll still plug in, but now I have, as you can see, an extra on here that I'll run to the secondary barb right here. I'll show you that in one sec so it better explains it. If you've never used 6-and before, What I want to show you really quickly is how easy it is to do these fittings. Seriously, when you go to screw them together, once they mate, see this little flange, it seals perfectly. So you don't have to put much pressure. This is important because these are aluminum fittings. You don't need to go He-Man on them. Just seat them, and then after you seat them, give them a little, like maybe a quarter turn more, and you're done. So always put a little bit of Loctite on there to lubricate your fittings to go against stripping. Isn't that right, Mika? Let's go ahead and loosen this fitting off first. Right there and right there. There we go. This comes out. See how easy that come out? The reason why is it shouldn't be in that tight. This is just sealing vapors. It's not sealing liquid, but on top of that all, it should be super simple. Again, what we want to do is add a little bit of Loctite here. That's just going to sit right here. Now, you could add the fitting now or afterwards. If you want to add it fitting now, you would just simply take the fitting, which is, again, this barb right here. A little bit on there. And all I'm going to do is just get it started. There we go. As you can see, it's already locked in. Let's see if I can just lock it in the rest of the way. That goes in there. This goes into the side. Oh, just like that. Like I said, no He-Man. Now, we just come along here. We've still got a little bit of Loctite on there, perfect. And again, they should go in nice and smooth. Now, make sure that we have this lined up, so that way, you can even aim it down, whatever way you want it, really. Let's aim it sort of like that. Actually, we have that basin right there. I don't want to. There we go. We'll see. Will that be strong enough? Nope. We need our smaller one, our 5/8 should hold that. Yep. And then we'll just tighten this. There. Okay. Good enough for me. Now that we have that, I'm not going to click it on now, but it would just click onto here and lock in. Now that we have that, we now need to add our twist lock piece. This, now that we have it teed, as you can see, needs to be added so that way I can press lock it on. Now, you can either pre-apply the twist lock right now or tie this on first. I'll leave it up to you, really. I noticed last time it missed some of it in the shot, so let's go ahead and show you this part. All it is we're gonna put the twist lock fitting on. Just do this and do this. Now actually, before we put that on, let's show you how twist lock goes in. I keep telling you how easy it is. All you do is you can lube it up if you want, but just squish it in, wiggle, and keep squishing until it's all the way to that plate if you can. How you know when it's done is it's sealed up just like that. And again, you just keep pressing until it goes in. Now that we've squeezed that in, all we do is bring this up. And again, make sure it goes in silky smooth. And if we can, move this forward. We'll hold this with this here. And we'll tighten this one up. Now, there we go. I need to try and do the multi-finger thing and hold that down as I tighten. Okay, let's try that first. Is that the angle I want? Possibly. I kind of want it to go like that without kinking it. The reason why is I don't want it to block my oil spot right here. I could even have it come up and around, but I'd rather not have it do that. That would look so horrible. Yeah, no. If I can, a perfect ideal spot would be right here. Just like that. So, I'm going to see if that's going to work with my barb, and if it does, that's exactly how we'll do it. Let's move this stuff off of here, and I'll cut it after. Press this one into place. There we go. So it's got to be right about there. I've got a nice little smooth S going on. I might even move that barb so it aims a little down. We'll see. I kind of don't mind it like that. Either way, right about here. Let's go ahead, take our cutter. There we go. Nice round spot there. Release this. Alright. Again, squish in. I'll try to squish that in a little bit more in a sec. I just want to see how it's fitting. If I put that in, perfect. Just like that. It keeps it free of both caps. And that's exactly what I want. Well, there we go. As you can see, we've got these two. I'll clean this up later. I still need to do more, and I don't want to tidy everything up with straps until I know it's 100%. So as you can see, this now goes to my fresh air intake, which I actually ran under the intake manifold, and I welded a bung on the bottom so it's not on top. I thought that looked way cleaner. I'll show you that on the other side. So fresh air goes from there, around, and over to this one. And then from there, I've got the other ones, which this one now T-branches to that one, which goes to our passenger side valve cover. Now, it's to actually plumb in the rest of the oil catch can. This is to get ready for it. Now you know, passenger side now goes to both of the back ends of the dry sump, and the front one remains on the fresh air intake off the intake coupler. Now, if you wanted to, that hard line that they give you is pretty horrendous. You can cut that and clean that up if you'd like, and look how much cleaner that looks. Literally, there's gonna be no more tubes in here. Does that not look a whole lot better? And it's super easy to push together the push lock, like I just showed you, the twist lock lines. And you can get that stuff relatively cheap. I mean, not insano cheap, but cheap for a Corvette. So for right here, I had a 6 to 1/4 MPT adapter. As you can see, I ordered these and 10 to 1/4 MPTs, but look how small they left the hole. The reason why is they rate this for 20,000 PSI. We don't need anywhere close to that. So what did I do? I drilled it out. And as you can see, it's drilled out quite a bit. So from here, let's see if I can bring this a little closer. This is only for these particular valve covers. Unfortunately, these valve covers, the company lied to me. They said that these were actually threaded out to AN10, which is not true. They had 1/4 MPT. They didn't even come with AN10 adapters. So I found these on Amazon, and like I said, they come like this, and I drilled it out to this. If you do that, make sure you clean it up. The next thing I'm gonna do is throw a little bit of Loctite on here, so that way it doesn't strip going in, keeps it nice and clean. And on top of that, I'm gonna be very careful when tightening this because I have weakened the sidewall a little bit by drilling it out, but I'm not too worried because this isn't under a bunch of PSI. This is just a little bit of crankcase vapors coming through here. That was a big socket, 1 1/16. I just held this down and I went and I kept my hand at the very front. If you were to move your hand even right here on this big ratchet, holy smokes, you would snap that off so quick. Anyways, if you're doing this because you have this valve cover, you would just do it right here. And again, take it from me, I don't really recommend these valve covers anymore. After having the issue I had with them, if you haven't seen the previous video, I had the valve train connect with them. So I actually popped them off and had to die grind it all out, and it worked out fine. But you know what? For the couple extra bucks that you save, again, I went with this company because I really did. I liked the look of these valve covers, but I told them about the issue and then they ghosted me. All right, if you take a look right here, if you want, this is where you can go and disconnect your battery. I'm not gonna bother, these are 2 grounds. They are not live power. If you're worried, go ahead, screws in the back, and take it off. I'm just gonna take these off because they are ground wires and there is no power going through them, nor am I gonna be starting or running my vehicle or trying to right now, so I don't have to worry with it messing with any sensors. So again, you just pop these 2 screws out. We have our beautiful little C7 bracket right here. We line this one up and we line up the first one. If you want, just like that, and hand thread it in. Do not tighten it down. Just put it in like, I don't know, 5 threads, just like I've done there. Then you come over here, same thing over here. Now, when you go to do this one, we'll see if it gets in the way. If it does, we might have to bend down the ground just a little bit, just so that wire doesn't impede our bracket from fully sealing. And there we go. So what I'm gonna do is just get this started for the sake of time with the gun here. And then, same with this one. Okay, that one's in, and that is not binding on there. Perfect. I like to finish these ones off by hand because again, we're going into aluminum. If you wanted a torque spec, go ahead and put it to at least 20. I'm not going to do torque spec because I'm used to doing grounds. I'm just going to do this. And to me, this is more than enough. These are 13, so like I said, they should hold at least 20 foot-pounds. I think every 13 on your motor is pretty much 18 foot-pounds. Now that we have that in, we have our clasp. You can have it go this way, which is the way I'd recommend, or this way, which I don't recommend. Good luck getting your hands in here and around the can to loosen and do everything for maintenance. So, we'll be putting the bracket on this way. For this, you'll need this hardware. The little 11mm nut and one of the spring washers from the package. Go ahead, have the clasp the way you want it, and just thread it on. I would get both of them started and don't go cranking any of them down until you have, once again, an 11mm with lock washer. Again, this hardware is all included. And try our best not to drop it into the engine bay. Okay, now that we have that there, an 11mm on our ratchet, make sure it's on and compress. Oh, apparently I have it on off. Anyways, go here, tighten it up, and about that much. It needs to just compress that. Do not go He-Man. If you go He-Man with this, you will strip out that aluminum bracket and then you will cry. You do not need to use Loctite. Again, with these 2 bolts down here, if you notice, I went down, but I did not use Loctite. The reason why? Loctite can cause resistance. If it causes any resistance, it can impede how well your ground works. Don't Loctite your ground bolts. It's that easy. Look at that. We've got that now ready to go. We can bring our can over and test fit the can. Also, in that package, you'll notice you have another small spring washer and that hand tightener. Bring that over too if you'd like. Our beautiful can, this top rotates, but it's majorly these 2. I want to try and get these lined up in the spot I want them, which is like this. Again, as you can see, we have a lot of room to move up and down. If you don't want that, if we wanted to, we could even do it like this. This is the breather. The reason why I'm thinking about this way is then I don't have to have this big line sitting right here. I can just kind of tuck it in over here. And I don't want that there. That's there. Now, advantage, putting it this way, sight glass. You can use your phone and see that sight glass a little easier. I don't know. It's completely up to you. Put it whichever way you'd like. I think I'm going to end up putting it like this. Oh, also, make sure that when you go to do this, this is screwed all the way out. If you screw it in, it'll drain. If you screw it out, it stops draining. See, watch this. If I screw it inward, see how it just went inside? That's actually the can open. If you undo it and do this, now the can is closed. Very important. Anyways, again, I think I'm gonna try and mock it up right here for a second. So we'll put this right here. As you can see, this is our hand tightening piece and it's got the spring washer on it. Just take it, preload it with a couple of threads in there. There, maybe even a little less. There we go. Now we have a little bit of room. Let's go get our can. We've got our can here. Now we get to choose how we'd like it to sit. We'll unscrew this just a little bit more. Right about there. There we go. Now, do we want it to sit like this? Or, if you want, we can move it like that. Or we can rotate it either way. I'm gonna see which way I think it's gonna work better with my lines. You could, if you wanted to, even do it this way. Now the advantage to doing it this way is you can now see the sight glass if you really needed to. You'll have to get around your hood when you go to look at it, but you can at least see the sight glass to see how full your can is getting. Again, it just depends on what you think is going to be important to you. So choose a position, and don't forget, if you have the recirculating top like me, it does rotate. So you can still rotate-o it. Once that's squeezed all the way on, all you do, line it up on the vise. Again, if you have the AN fittings vise, it's always going to work better than what I'm using. But as you can see, put enough tension on there to hold it, but don't start compressing this too hard because these are aluminum fittings. If you start wrenching on this super hard, it's 100% going to strip it out. So, on this side, we go ahead, a little bit of blue Loctite. The reason why, it keeps the fitting together, but most importantly, lubricates the threads so you don't strip them out. Once you've thrown that little bit of Loctite on there, you squeeze slightly. Try to make sure it's still going in smooth like butter, but then you want to hold the other side of the line. Make sure the hose doesn't try backing out as you start to thread this. Perfect, and as you can see, our fitting is starting to spin. Put your leg, if you can, in front of that side of the fitting, and we'll see if I can catch it on the flip side, just like this. The reason why is you don't want it spinning into your vise. And you just keep on tightening like so. When you're done, it should be that close. Like I said, just keep screwing it in until you get there. The best way to do this is with AN fitting wrenches, if you're gonna do the AN fitting. If not, you've seen how easy it was to do twist lock. You literally just squeeze it in with a little bit of lube and you're done. So
You choose. I had AN stuff lying around, and I really love the look of AN stuff, so it's completely up to you. For the first part of it, which I didn't really show you, after you cut it, you just need something very, very sharp to cut your hose. Some people will even use a hacksaw. For me, mine isn't the prettiest. I usually use tin snips. Again, all you do, put it into here and press it on your hand. You can even press it into your leg until it's flush. When I say it's flush, I'll show you in one sec. It's like that. There's no gap in between it and the other, and this should be wide open. It's going to be hard to show you on here, but there's no gap there. After you do that, then you just put it in your vise. Again, just make sure, I like to leave the fitting a little bit out, not too much, and just put it in like that. Perfect. And again, not overly tight. If you start crimping this too much, you'll make this from a round hole into oblong. Again, a little bit of Loctite, just like that, just to lubricate the threads. Go ahead, and you might have to press it a little bit to get it started there, just so it goes in, and then just start it by hand. As you can see, I'm getting pretty close here. Let's see if it's gonna hit. Oh, no, not gonna hit yet. But once it gets closer, what I'll end up doing is going in. And again, holding this nice and tight so this doesn't back out. And tighten it up and watch your hose. If you see it backing up, then you know you need to restart because you don't want this backing out. There you go. We've got a twisty now. It twists on both sides, and I'm going to go put that in. And again, just a little bit of Loctite on each fitting. The can side, so I get this side on. The can side, since we have our can still loose, bring it out. And I'll show you why. If you bring it out, then we can actually just make it a little easier on ourselves. Again, a little bit of Loctite on the threads. Just like this. And then after you've hand tightened both ends, just get it into place. Just like that. So that way when you tighten it down, you know it's going to sit the way you want it to. And that should be good for me. There you go. That first joint is done. Again, the Mighty Mouse one is probably going to be either over here or over that way. I haven't decided yet because we either have to vent it up near the windshield or near the fender well. And the reason why is we need to make sure that that's venting out of the engine bay. But the next one I'm going to do is this one. Now, to explain this one more, remember I was telling you I have this new ICT plate? If you had the one that wasn't the ICT plate and you had that intake manifold pressure that was coming off of right here, you would plumb in from right here on this barb. You could do a Y adapter. It could come down here and into there, or it could come out of here and simply just come right to here. So from right here to right here. For me, since I've got that one in the back of my intake manifold, I'll be running my plumbing down there and then to right here, which will go right there, as you can see. So let me quickly crimp and cut this one up. I just showed you how to do those AN fittings. I'm not going to make you suffer through watching me do it one more time. Just cut to length, and Again, just screw in the two ends. I know. See, she's already bored. I couldn't even imagine trying to show you guys it again. As you can see, another set of fittings made, and I'm going to quickly feed that through back on that intake manifold, and that way I can get this ready. Again, a little bit of Loctite. We'll put this right here. Try and keep this one nice and low. Might even be able to put it right there. I don't know yet. Or we just bring it right there so it's in line with this. Makes it easier then if we when we go to disconnect, that line will go on right here. Perfect. So what I did is I brought around the catch can and right to here to keep the front end clear, and then I can kind of keep this nice and tight to this line that's right here. Now that I've got that kind of lightly put in, I'll tighten that up at the very end. I'm gonna quickly go here, make sure I get this line to go exactly how I want it, and then I have to do a twist lock 2 and 6 adapter on that tube over there. Let's show you the routing. So, as you can see, I left that little piece right here. I wanted to keep all the plumbing on this side. So I put my adapter right there. So it's twist lock to and 6. That will be strapped under there. You won't ever see it. It'll be like that. I'm gonna cut that zap strap, put a new one there, keep it nice and clean. And then tucks down into here, right next to the water pump. Up over here, I'll have another strap down over here. And look at that, just nice and clean. Keeps everything to one side. I like it. So, again, unless you're using the same intake manifold, you won't have to do that. This one only applies for the Holley EFI and when using the ICT billet valley tray. A lot of the aftermarket ones have a breather on it, so it just depends. Either way, I'm going to quickly strap that up and tighten this up, and then all we have left to plumb in is our recirculation top, and that is going to be a hard choice. I've started the recirculating top end here. We just have to decide how and where I want to plumb it. Now you could do two things. You could plumb it to here and then put a small hole so that way if it needs to blow off, you'll see blue smoke come up into your driver's area here and you'll be like, there's something wrong with my car. You could also do that on the passenger side, which is what I would kind of recommend, which would mean you would fish a line from here to over there or down just like I did and then put it over there. That way you'll see it as a driver, but it won't block you from racing or whatever you're doing at the time. The other thing you can do, which some do, and I've been notified by Mighty Mouse there, is they usually do it from OEM into the air box. Now I was taking a look at how the air box actually works here. So if I plumbed it into the air box, it would go into there, and then if I look up and in here, I can actually see the air filter right there, which tells me that I just need to make sure that it gets into an area like this, because if it's gonna have an emergency bleed off, that means it's just going to put all the oil into this little fender well. Well, to tell you the truth, I'd rather put it into this fender well. Why? Because it's closer, it's gonna do the same thing, and then my air filter, if it goes off, isn't just going to fill with a bunch of oil. Instead, it'll come down and over to here. So the plan is to get this line into here. Now, I have my front bumper off. So my easiest is to actually come through here down, and I could just have it kind of strap in here. And then if it has anything, I'll see it come out any of these openings here, and there'll be oil that will be dripping. I'd rather it be over on this side of the groove, so that way it's not immediately under my tire, because that would be a really bad case scenario. I'd rather keep it on this corner. Now, if you don't have this off, what you could do is feed it down here immediately over, make sure you don't get it under your hood strut right here, and down to those lines right there. Probably easier if I just show you. So this would be the path of least resistance if you don't have your bumper cover off. All you would do is leave it like this. You could tighten it so that way this is in line if that's going to drive you OCD. Put a strap here. You could strap this over here so that way it's away from the hood strut / shock right here. And then you would simply just reach down here and tuck it in to this fender well. If you took off that plastic plate down there, you could zap strap it to anything down and over here, just so it's in here. And then from there, it gets it immediately out of the engine bay. And if it starts to leak, it'll come out over here. It'll stay away from your tire. Again, it just depends on what you want to do, but I think this is probably the way I'm going to go. Now, I'm going to probably also make it so it's not too strapped up, because the thing is when I remove this oil catch can to drain it, I'm going to need either a quick release right there, or I need a way to quickly be able to release this. See how I've done service loops on everything so far? This has got a service loop. Even my coil right here, I'll be able to lift that up, because I only need to lift it about this much to be able to empty the can. So with this one, I'd have to make sure that I put like one strap service loop right here or something, so that way if I cut that one strap, this lifts up enough, I can drain it, and then I just put one zap strap there, since I keep so many of them here. You could even use a reusable tie wrap if you wanted, or there is an Allen key holder style bracket you can put here, and I'll show you that too. Now this is the other way you could do it, and this is the way I'm going to be doing it, which is you tie it right here, it goes right here. Now if you're really lucky and you have small hands, you can fish your N10 into here, and then you'd have to pull off the plastic tray down here, but you should be able to get your hand hopefully up and around in this area, and you can direct this to where you want it. For me personally, I'll probably cut it and I'll put it off to the side over here and strap it next to this wire loom. So that way, again, it just drips down and into here for if that ever has an emergency overfill. And again, that's completely up to you where you put it, but I think if it's already going into that wheel well in the exact same location, the only thing you don't have is the air intake sucking in the smoke. Once you have that loose, just make sure you can pop this up like so, get that around, and see I can get it over here, and then I have a yogurt container or whatever I want right here. I release, let it drain, and then I just go like that. Again, yep, just making sure. And then I just make sure I can safely slide this back in. And I can. And that's all I have to check for. Gonna show you what I'm doing. As you know, I went down through there. If you're coming from here, again, you could go down, follow this wiring harness, and then down over there and go into the fender well. That's the easiest way. I only went this way because I have the bumper off and I think it looks a little bit cleaner the way I'm doing this. Again, if you came down here, there's this little slot down here in the back of your fender well, and there's an opening. So what you could do is, see how I've got the tube going to there? I have to cut that to length, but you would literally put it in the corner of your fender well. I'll show you once I get some light on there. But as you can see, I've got an AN fitting to twist lock once again, and all I'm going to do is squeeze that on and then sink that all the way over. And I'm gonna throw a light down here and show you how it's done. I just wanted to show you what I was doing, which is of course AN fitting, twist lock goes into here. And again, that just twists in. See my fitting right there? You can see it right there in the middle of the shot, just under that shock. So right there, as you can see, you can totally reach there. If you bring this down there, and see how I have that tube at the very end? You can see it's got the wording, again, center of shot. We're gonna go down below. I just wanna show you that you don't have to go through here just like I did. You can literally come down right here, strap it nice and close to right here, and then right down to there and into the fender well. I only did it this way because I, once again, had the bumper off and I could make it look clean. So let's go underneath and show you. If we're looking right there, it comes down through here and right into the corner of the wheel well. Now I can't even show you because my tire is in the way, but it comes in just in the corner, not even with the tire, but off to the side. And what it allows it to do is drain outside of the engine bay. No smoke will come into the engine bay and no oil will go immediately under the tire, because that's exactly what I don't want to happen. But that's exactly why I wanted to show you how I did it here. So that way, if you want to take your front bumper off, you can, but I really don't see the need to. I only did it because this was already off. If I didn't already have my bumper off, I would literally be bringing it down through here, bring it down to there, and be done with it. But that's what it looks like. That's it with the AN fittings, and that is the Mighty Mouse recirculated catch can all installed. Well guys, that's it for the C7 project and the oil catch can. As you can see, I took
a couple minutes to myself, aka pretty much the whole day, and put the whole car back together. I told myself I had to do that before I do the next mod. So next week, what am I going to install? Well, I'll give you a hint. It's got some carbon and some fiber. Super excited. See you guys next week.